A new feature from Grammarly recently crossed a line that many writers didn't realize was approaching. Saturday, March 14th, I posted an article in my AI for Authors Weekly Dispatch that as I was editing it, I realized that I think it would really go well visually. And so I decided I'm going to read it as my video. And I hope you enjoy it because I think it's saying something that's really important for experts and thought leaders to understand and to be aware of. A new feature from Grammarly recently crossed a line that many writers didn't realize was approaching. The company introduced an expert review tool that generates feedback on the user's writing in the simulated voice of real journalists and writers without their consent. What looks like a clever productivity feature actually exposes a much deeper shift in the AI landscape. Expertise itself is being turned into a product. For nonfiction authors, experts, and thought leaders whose authority is built on judgment, voice, and perspective, this moment raises an uncomfortable but important question. If AI systems can imitate expertise, what exactly remains uniquely yours? And how do you protect it? The problem: expertise without consent. Grammarly's expert review feature was designed to give users editorial feedback styled after well-known writers and journalists. The idea sounds helpful at first glance. Submit your writing, receive critiques modeled after how respected experts might respond. But there's a crucial detail behind the feature. The experts being simulated never agreed to participate. Instead of working with those writers, the tool uses AI to generate feedback that mimics their editorial voice and perspective. Their professional judgment, something developed through years of experience, is effectively being turned into a software feature. This is where the issue shifts from clever technology to something much more complicated. For knowledge professionals, expertise is not just a skill. It's an identity built through years of observation, pattern recognition, and decision making. When a tool attaches a real person's name or reputation to AI-generated feedback, it turns that identity into something that can be replicated and distributed without the expert's control. And once that boundary is crossed, a larger question emerges. If companies can simulate a professional's voice and judgment without permission, what stops expertise itself from becoming a commodity? What prevents hard-won knowledge and expertise from being something that can be extracted, replicated, and sold at scale? When your authority depends on your perspective, that question matters more than it might first appear. The commodification of expertise. What Grammarly's feature reveals is part of a larger shift already underway across the AI industry. Companies are racing to make their tools feel more insightful, more human, and more authoritative. One of the easiest ways to do that is to package expertise directly into the product. Instead of offering general advice, the software promises access to the judgment of the experienced professionals. But there's a difference between learning from expertise and reproducing it. Real expertise is built through context, years of decisions, failures, conversations, and lived experience. It involves knowing not just what works, but when, why, and for whom. AI systems, by contrast, can only detect patterns in the material they are trained on. When a tool claims to offer feedback from a particular type of expert, what it is actually delivering is a statistical approximation of that person's style and patterns. The surface may resemble expertise, but the underlying judgment isn't truly there. That distinction may not matter to someone looking for quick writing suggestions, but for professionals whose career depends on their perspective, it matters a great deal. Because once expertise becomes something that can be simulated convincingly enough, it becomes something that can be packaged, scaled, sold, whether the expert involved agreed to it or not. The important distinction: amplifying expertise versus simulating it. It's important to acknowledge that not all AI use in this space is problematic. In fact, many experts are beginning to explore ways to train AI on their own ideas, frameworks, and teaching so they can reach and help more people. When done intentionally, this approach can extend an expert's capacity without replacing their voice. In those cases, the expert is in control. They decide what knowledge is shared, how it's represented, and where the boundaries are. Used in this way, AI becomes an amplifier. A coach might train an AI assistant to help answer common client questions. A consultant might use it to share elements of their frameworks more widely. An author might create tools that help readers apply ideas from their book. In each case, the AI is acting as a channel for the expert's thinking, not a substitute for the expert themselves. What Grammarly's feature highlights is something very different. Instead of experts choosing to extend their reach, the company is attempting to replicate professional judgment without the expert's participation or consent. The authority attached to a real person's name becomes part of the product, even though the person never agreed to it. This difference matters. One model expands human expertise and magnifies the benefits to the expert and those they serve. The other extracts it like coal from the earth, but experts are not earth, and their expertise should not be strip mined without consent. And for authors and thought leaders, that distinction will become increasingly important as AI tools continue to evolve. What authors must protect now. If AI systems can imitate elements of expertise, the appropriate response is not panic, it's clarity. Your real asset has never been simply information. Information can be copied, summarized, and reorganized endlessly. What cannot be easily replicated is the coherent body of thinking that stands behind it. Your lived experience, your pattern recognition, your frameworks, the way you connect ideas and guide others toward insight. Those elements form the foundation of authority. This is one reason books still matter so much in the age of AI. A well-crafted book does more than share information. It captures the structure of a person's thinking in a way that is visible, attributable, and anchored in a real human voice. That kind of work creates a clear line of authorship. It says these ideas came from somewhere, and they came from someone. As AI tools become capable of mimicking style and surface level expertise, the authors who thrive will be those who anchor their thinking in clear frameworks, original perspectives, and visible authorship. In other words, the future may place an even greater premium on the thing AI cannot manufacture: a clearly expressed human authority. Authority still has an address. The rise of synthetic expertise will force an important shift for authors and thought leaders. In a world where AI can imitate tone, summarize ideas, and approximate expert advice, the value of real expertise does not disappear. If anything, it becomes more important to make its origin visible. Authority that is clearly expressed, clearly attributed, and clearly connected to a real human perspective becomes easier to recognize. The tools may evolve, the landscape will certainly change, but one principle remains steady. Expertise has a source, and that source is human. For authors who are willing to articulate their thinking clearly and claim authorship of their ideas, that source will continue to matter.